Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to the Jedisagespod podcast channel. We're doing something a little bit different. We're mixing things up. We wanted to do like quick, snappy live review and reactions to new episodes coming on Disney Plus. So probably the first one, obviously, we want to talk about is the Book of Boba Fett. Chapter 1 was released, a couple of days ago? Wednesday. We're on Saturday at the moment. But It will be coming out Sunday, as this episode will be getting edited and put out tomorrow. So where to start? I mean, obviously, if you guys haven't watched it, we are going to be talking spoilers. So, be prepared for that. So I think the first thing we've got to talk about is obviously that introduction. The first 5 minutes?
Yes. Well,
Brilliant.
yeah, absolutely. Just now, full disclosure, I saw it on Wednesday. I haven't watched it since, so some of it, I like the Sarlacc. I'm digesting it slowly.
Exactly, over 1,000 years. Over 1,000 years.
Absolutely. So some of it I have forgotten, but the introduction, just the panning shots to begin with, seeing that familiar locations that we've seen that we might have played in Battlefront, just fantastic openings, and then obviously going to the back to tank somewhere new in Jabba's palace that we haven't seen, and straight into it really.
Yeah, literally. I mean, if it's, I think the opening shot where he's in the belly of the beast, we could say, I am very certain they've pulled that from a comic book cover. If I'm not mistaken, there is a comic book cover of the Boba Fett kind of struggling with all these tendrils or intestines, whatever they are, but I've certainly got a sense of like claustrophobia, almost incoming doom, because you're thinking to yourself like, how are they going to get out? How is he going to get out of this? And then it pans across and you can see a stormtrooper there. So the first thing I'm thinking of is, how the hell is there a stormtrooper there? Poor geezer's probably just tripped and fallen in. Unlucky. It's like, that's probably the worst like shift he's ever done, because he's fallen in the Sarlacc pit. He's managing to get awake. The question is like, is there oxygen in there? Was he suffocating? I wasn't 100% certain at first.
Yeah, I think what you probably had was in not being any kind of biologist. I think there was definitely some kind of digestive juices and gases and acid in there. So it wasn't air that he was breathing.
No.
Hence why he had to use his helmet to get some oxygen from the stormtrooper.
Yeah,
thought that was fantastic. And you're right, feeling of claustrophobia.
But wasn't that cable from the stormtrooper? Because I thought it looks like he pulls it out of the helmet of the stormtrooper.
Yeah, so he took it out of the helmet from the stormtrooper because their masks filter toxins, not gases.
Yes.
Force Awakens, and he then used that to provide some kind of oxygen. I'm not sure, because actually his helmet isn't sealed, is it?
No,
like he hasn't got a seal.
I thought he was getting the oxygen to breathe, but then I realised, he's using it for the flamethrower, because the flamethrower.
Oh, I know. I thought it was for breathing.
Yeah, well, so did I at first. But then obviously when he punches through and he uses his flamethrower, obviously the flamethrower requires oxygen. Well, naturally, I would assume anyway.
I suppose it could be for both, but my gut reaction was actually he was trying to breathe.
Yeah.
I would like to just rewind for a minute, because as amazing as that scene is, they do go to the prequels, and they show you something.
Yeah.
They show you Camino. I think I swore quite loudly. I was like, "Oh, f yes, Camino," because that was fantastic to see. And then obviously the shots from kind of Attack of the Clones, and I believe there was a new shot.
I couldn't quite tell whether that was new or just a slight re-angle with CGI, for example. But no, it was a good use.
Because then what I was starting to think, I was like, are we going to see anything more between Sarlacc and that? Like, are we going to see, events from the prequel trilogy, or not prequel, sorry, from the original trilogy, from his point of view? Yeah. Are you going to see him right before Jabba's sail barge or anything like that? Are you going to see him, look at the camera in A New Hope Special Edition?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just fantastic to see that, and then obviously the amazing Sarlacc pit scene.
Yeah.
Just incredible, and I think it was good because they didn't dwell on it too long.
Yeah, I was thinking exactly the same thing. When I was watching, I was like, this is quick, it's concise, and it's to the point. You've seen him, he's escaped. This is now what happens. You're not dwelling on it too long. You're not lingering on too many scenes. You want to get to it. So it's very well directed and well produced.
Oh, it's fantastic, and I think as well the shot where his hand comes out of the sand. I just thought that is fantastic. That is very much. It reminded me very much of, there was a fan trailer or a fan film, short film made of Boba Fett where he kind of comes out of the sand.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago it came out,
Yeah.
and it was that kind of just, it was just incredible to see that. And the wreckage of the
sail barge and stuff.
the sail barge, the katana, I believe it's called. Just incredible.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to say is, I wanted to give well, not like he's ever going to watch, but I wanted to give credit to Temuera Morrison, because obviously he looks physically like he's gotten into really good shape, considering I think he's probably in his mid-50s,
if not 60s. I'm not sure.
And like the shot of him getting out of the bacta tank, he's in good physical condition. I know that a lot of people commented on his first appearance in his armor in Mandalorian season 2, saying, "Oh, he's a bit bloated. Look at that dad bod." But I think he's got himself in really good shape, and like fair play to the actor. Like Temuera Morrison has really given it his all.
If when I reach his age, I look half as good as that, I'll be very happy.
Yeah.
I
I thought, obviously, moving on through the episode, obviously he gets, first of all his armor taken away by the Jawas, which is what we knew happened.
those Jawas. I'm glad they put
Jawas.
that link in there,
Yeah.
because they're definitely painting the Jawas to be these horrible little creatures.
Well,
they really are,
aren't they? But I mean, it linked into the first episode of season 2 where the other geezer had Boba's armor, and obviously that's that connection.
Cobb Vanth was his name.
Cobb
Trivia
Vanth.
point. Ding.
Yeah, literally. So obviously that was that connection, and then obviously we had this inkling of some kind of Tusken Raider connection from the first time you see him in season 1 to then in season 2, because of his skills with a gaffy stick. You can tell either obviously I think what is going to be shown is he's learning skills from the people. It was either he's learned skills from people, or he's just very good at hand-to-hand combat. But I think, almost as like a character development point, in extended lore and all this kind of other areas, Boba Fett has never really been regarded, to my knowledge, as like a hand-to-hand expert. He's always been, a capture, an assassination, like, skilled character. So there is some scenes down the line in this episode where his hand-to-hand skills aren't that good compared to the Tusken Raiders, which was, I think, then where we're going to be linking on to future episodes.
Yeah, well, what I would add to that is, I know that in the comics, in the Star Wars canon comics, I believe he goes some kind of melee battle with Luke Skywalker in Obi-Wan Kenobi's hut, which is where Fett first learns the name Skywalker, who then takes it to Vader. Big reveal. And yeah, I think it's definitely, it expands his character, doesn't it? What I would say though is, you commented about him like he doesn't have these kind of great hand-to-hand skills. He has just been dragged by the Sand People for an undisclosed period of time after being eaten by a Sarlacc. So I think actually the fact that he shows that much at all is incredible.
Yeah.
I think that shows his kind of mental fortitude and his strength, that he is able to do all of that and survive as long as he did.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, I suppose. One thing I did also like is obviously where they've done the makeup. So I obviously I've never really seen it, but obviously someone who is incredibly dehydrated, someone who's gone that borderline 2 to 3 days, maybe even 4 days without water. I think there was one of the old Clint Eastwood films, I think it was maybe The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, I think, where he has been dragged across the desert and he hasn't drunken anything, and his like skin is shriveled up and dry and all the moisture is gone. I thought they executed that on Boba Fett really well. Like, you got the sense that this guy hasn't even drunk anything in a while. Like, he's struggling.
But don't forget as well, it was the digestive acids and the gas of the Sarlacc. Just incredible on the makeup department's side. Very, very impressive.
And then going through the episode, obviously we get him receiving tributes from many people, and again another little like credit to the team. The Trandoshans looked so much better.
Oh yes.
When they first were in, I think, was it Mandalorian? Was it the first episode of season 2?
second episode, I believe. With
yeah.
also, second episode. Yeah,
They looked really. I was a bit concerned. I was a bit like, but
yeah.
I think they've taken that feedback on board because probably people have raised it, and they looked really good. I was very impressed by that, and not only that, but also because the planet of Trandoshan and Kashyyyk are in the same system, so there's a lot of that. So we know that that's still going on even in that time, and the fact that it was a full Wookiee pelt as like a gift, I thought that was a very, very, very cool moment.
What did you think about the mayor's
tribute thing?
Major Domo was the name.
Yeah. Well, I thought the Twi'leks looked better. Again, that was some prosthetics that looked very dodgy.
After that, was it season 1, episode 6? Was it that the one on the prison ship? Oh,
yeah, they looked a bit. Yeah, they looked a bit ropey, but they've definitely made them look better. I thought the concept in terms of someone having the audacity to send an envoy instead of going themselves to pay tribute, that's going to be playing into it.
Meant to be like. And my tribute?
Yeah, exactly.
Where's mine?
the cheek of it. The cheek.
Yeah. I thought that was brilliant.
No.
What did you think of the action? There was something just felt off about it. Not like if I was reading it on a page, it's fantastic. What did you don't know if it was the American accent? Because obviously we've heard, Bib Fortuna, hey, you wanna wanga?
Yeah.
It's just suddenly you've got, yes, my master will be. I suppose will be waiting for you.
We say that, but then obviously we were introduced to John Boyega's character with an American accent, and he's from London, as opposed to anything else. So we're already used to that.
I wonder whether it's because also, Rebels and Clone Wars, the Twi'leks have always spoken with, I suppose, a different kind of accent, haven't they? They've either spoken in "You wanna wanga" or or the other kind of like a Frenchy,
like
French,
some kind of like
European
twang
accent
to it, innit? Yeah.
Yeah, just to make it seem a bit more alien, rather than like a more human character like Finn.
Yeah. No.
That was the only thing that struck me.
I don't think it pulled me out of the immersion of the episode. I think it still worked rather well. And then obviously moving on through the episode, so obviously then I think we get cut back to him being like a prisoner in the Tusken Raider camp, and obviously he's forming a connection in terms of he's understanding the people as well as the people understanding him. Obviously you get.
It's that concept of as the title says, a stranger in a strange land.
Yeah.
In both situations, he's a stranger to this concept of being, I can't remember the Japanese title that they use, but crime lord. And then he's trying to find his place within this Tusken civilization, obviously starting off at the bottom as a prisoner. Yeah.
And how I thought it was cool how you could tell that there was a society within the Tusken Raiders. You were getting more about that as a culture. I couldn't tell if it was like some kind of like shaman or more of like a war chief vibe from one of those head honchos, as it were. But I think he was getting at grips.
I thought that was really good, like because obviously we've only ever seen Tusken Raiders as these beasts, horrible things. But actually, we're getting that. I think we're going to gradually build up this picture. These, we're going to feel sympathy for them because they are, for all intents and purposes, they are the indigenous people of Tatooine. And they were there first.
And it's funny that you say that because obviously linking into empathy, it's amazing how everything has changed from when Boba Fett was first introduced in Episode 5. He was an anti-hero per se because people liked him because he was a bad guy, but he was cool. But at the end of the day, he was going after our good guys. He was going after our favourite people like Luke and Han and stuff like that. So then when he's getting trailed, like he's getting pulled across the Dune Sea by these Banthas, I'm thinking in my head like, wow, I'm actually empathising with him. Like someone, like a character that we've grown up as a bad guy, you're now empathising with, going, damn, I actually feel bad. Like I thought that was very clever.
I think we're certainly seeing a more human side to him. In times like, we're seeing humour from him when he's having the tributes. He's like, oh, I used to work for that guy. Yeah. We're seeing that more human side to him. So we've had that kind of open door. He's showing us the way in. We're kind of relating to him more, I suppose.
Yeah. And moving into latter parts of the episode, obviously we travel to Mos Espa, I believe. Now, from the way they've built it up and the way that it looks, I would make the conclusion that Mos Espa is probably the wealthier side of Tatooine in terms of the cities, like Mos Eisley and Mos Adina, or whatever the other one is. I liked how they, when you enter the canteen, not only was there a Bith, and then there was like I can't remember the species, but
Rebo. It was Max Rebo, the blue elephant playing. He lives.
Well, I mean, it could be the same species. I don't think.
No. He's playing the piano. It's Max Rebo. He survived. He survived the destruction
of the sail barge.
So, I mean, if Bib Fortuna did, Bib Fortuna survived, which we're going to have. Listening to the Force Center podcast, they were talking about this must mean that Salacious Crumb has survived.
Exactly. So he's behind everything. But it was a cool scene in terms of these two. Not only how it was filmed, like the two, like you get the old like saloon bars that open like. Very Western. That's the word I was thinking. That was
Western. The Western vibe was running all the way through.
It was strong in the Western Force. But it was cool to see like a side of Tatooine that was rich, if you know what I mean. Like the cantina, it wasn't like your one in episode 9. It wasn't like that kind of lavish gold everywhere, silk clothes and all this kind of stuff. But you definitely got the side that these people were rich, these people had money, and it was a side of Tatooine that we've never seen in like nearly 9 films and X amount of TV shows. So that was a cool expand upon of the lore.
Yeah, it definitely builds the universe.
Yeah, 100%. I was a bit worried in terms of as soon as they handed their helmets to the Twilight slaves, I was thinking in my head, oh, I wonder if they're going to slip like a little bug or something inside. So as soon as they got it back, and like as soon as he tilted it towards him, I was thinking in my head, oh my god, there's going to be something cool in there or something like that. But obviously it was filled with money, filled with cool different. I didn't have a chance to pause it, but obviously you could see different types of credit chits in there. Honestly. Like you can see,
I believe there's a New Republic one. I believe they've shown currency for the New Republic. Definitely no. What was that? The watery one, calamari flan or something. None of that.
Yeah, none of that weird stuff. That little gooey one they used in the Mandalorian season 1.
So with a weird sound effect. I don't know why. That's always
gooey currency. I don't think we'll ever change from that. We didn't even talk about those 2 Gamorreans. And like on top of the better looking Trandoshans and Twi'leks, the Gamorreans look good as well. I would have liked to see them a bit more chunkier.
Well, I suppose they want to show the Gamorreans. I suppose under Jabba's rule were like Jabba. They were gluttonous. They were fat. They were kind of not at their prime. Or I suppose these guys have shown they've had to do a bit of hard living. Yeah. So they are more.
They looked better, didn't they? They looked far better.
So much better.
Yeah.
Also, one thing we mustn't miss out, the droid voiced by Matt Berry from the IT crowd. He was the torture droid.
Yes,
apparently.
I thought
so it's the little things like that I just love.
Yeah, the role reversals. And obviously moving out, once they leave that cantina, they are then ambushed, as we saw in the trailers, and it happened there. Very cool types of weapon, like some kind of like energy shields. We've never really, the only times we've ever seen any kind of energy shields like handheld personal wise would have been the Gungans. So that was very cool. And then probably some kind of vibro staff / vibro axes or something like that. So it was a good shot of hand to hand combat that we
I did have one question during that scene though. Why didn't he just jetpack up?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I was thinking, he's got his jetpack on. Why did it?
But is the jetpack controlled via his helmet? Maybe that could be the thing.
It's eyebrow controlled? Like, we need to go up, left, right.
Well, or something along those kinds of vibes. Like it would. Then that would make logical sense because he didn't have his helmet on. It was full of coins, which I liked. Again, he's dropped it. They've gone everywhere, and then like 10 people have come scrambling. Now, obviously, Fennec Shan?
Yeah.
She then chases after them with doing some acrobatic things, and I was hoping for a split second. When he was aiming his wrist, I thought he was going to ping him with like a little cable. I wasn't sure I didn't realise he was going to blow him up. So that was
yeah.
I was in shock with
that.
that, and I also like the fact that the Gamorreans then rushed to the aid, showing that their loyal
Can be
side.
trusted. Yeah,
Was quite
which
cool.
is also again something else I think that helps us kind of connect with this character of Boba is the fact that actually he's shown mercy.
Yep.
He's not ruthless, but then later on to people who aren't worthy of his mercy, he will blow up.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
So we've still got that ruthless. We're not making him a good guy. He is still an anti-hero.
Yeah.
He's still going to blow you up if you annoy him, and if you cross him. But I think, just going to the point that you said earlier, you care because you're seeing all these things.
But there's still that like realization of like, guys, don't get too sucked in too much. Like he was still technically an anti-hero bad guy.
Yeah. He's not going to join Luke in roaming around the galaxy saving people. He will kill people.
Yeah, and he will get paid to do so. So we can't forget it. Now, obviously, Fennec chases down these, what should we call them, assassins.
Yeah.
Now, the one she captures, obviously, I haven't seen anything for this next episode or anything like that. I could see some kind of face tattoos. Now, I don't know if...
I remember that.
Yeah, they looked like it was coming up here, but I don't know if that was in regard to any other crime syndicates. Now, I was trying to think of Dryden Voss, whether he had face tattoos, or was that just like...
That was part of his species.
Was it? Okay.
I don't know, whatever he was. He wasn't human, but yeah, he had some kind of facial thing that when he got angry, it grew red.
A bit of a wild theory. So at this point, Maul is dead. At this point, but
Maul was dead before A New Hope. Yeah.
But are we going under the assumption that probably what he's left behind could be there? Because obviously,
are we talking about Crimson Dawn?
Yes, because obviously he was in charge of that. If I'm not mistaken, obviously we had like Kira, who was like in Solo. Now, obviously, facial tattoos is something the Zabraks are quite known for, as we've seen with Darth Maul. I'm just trying to, think of different possibilities, think of different theories. Maybe that's to do with them. Obviously, we will find out in the next episode, hopefully. But also, we found out that obviously Boba is still quite weak. Like he extended periods of combat, he has been injured, and he needs that back to tank. So it does show a level of vulnerability.
Let's also not forget he took a wrist rocket to the face. Like the rebound, he shot at a thing. So he would be quite unwell.
Yeah.
after having that kind of the rebound of the Force come back at you. But yeah, I think you're right. It goes to show that actually he's not at 100% yet.
Yeah.
He was, he was fighting. I think some people have criticised the episode because he does seem weaker compared to the mauling he gave to the stormtroopers, but I suppose they are stormtroopers.
And the situation was a little bit different. They're not stormtroopers that have surrounded him and limiting his movement, and he hasn't got his full arsenal on him. Yeah, I think you can be overly critical at times.
Yeah, but I thought it was fantastic because actually it's important that we see. We do see him at a weaker point because that way when he's strong and absolutely dominating, it will feel earned rather than just giving him too much power straight away.
No, agreed. And obviously, I think the episode rounded off by that scene where they're foraging for what can only be described as some kind of like weird acorns that have moisture.
Some kind of fruit, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I hear a crack, so I'm describing them as a water acorn. I'm going to call them a water acorn. I've called it first. And it was and then they get attacked. Them and the Rodian. Now I noticed before we talk about that scene, the Rodian was talking obviously in some kind of like galactic native. And I hear a lot of slurs that Boba was using.
Yes, like Poodoo and Slimo.
Yeah, I heard that a couple of times, and it's very interesting that the fact that Rodian wasn't speaking in Galactic Basic as well. That's very interesting.
And I think that was important because actually, I felt like that was one of the things that was missing was, that kind of slurring, not slurring, sorry, that kind of language. It was so important.
A barrier, because obviously these are two prisoners linking back into the title of the chapter, strangers in a strange place. These two people are strangers. They're not going to be willing to talk to each other and everything like that. Obviously, this creature, I had no idea what it was.
Oh yes.
I was.
You mean the Gorn?
Yeah, it literally. Yeah, it did remind me of the Gorn from Star Trek. It was a very interesting creature. At first, I thought it was some kind of like weird descendant from a Trandoshan.
Yes. Well, at first, when they first uncovered the claw, I was like, "Oh my goodness, so we're going to have a crate dragon, like a baby crate dragon."
I was thinking exactly the same thing, but then it started lifting it out, and then it would turn into like Machamp or Machoke, sorry, from or no, it wasn't Machamp from Pokemon, like this giant four-armed creature.
I tell you what, it looks very much like the original monsters from the original Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
The Ray Harryhausen kind of
clay model.
stop motion. Yes, very much like that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I'll have to see on the old Wikipedia to see what that creature was, because obviously I've never seen anything like that.
A name yet. I don't think it's been given a name.
Really, you think?
Yeah, 6-armed Sand Devil or 4-armed Sand Devil.
Yeah, we'll call it that. Either way, it was a very cool scene to see how Boba overcomes like these kinds of scenarios with limited resources. Obviously, all he had was a chain.
Yeah,
and he managed to limit this creature. Obviously, the Rodian got like just absolutely smushed to the side.
Yeah, and again, just going back to I get this idea of connecting with the character. I know I keep harking on about it, but actually, the scenes that we have with Boba and the Rodian, he offers to help him.
Yeah.
He's like, "Look, I'll cut your bonds." That was my terrible accent. But showing that actually he's not the complete monster. He doesn't kill the mastiff or the mastiff.
Yeah.
He knocks it unconscious, but then he's stroking it, and he's like, "No hard feelings, mate." I think that's so important.
But to counter that point, I actually think, like, I'm trying to think back to the episode, like when he first escapes at night, does he offer to cut the Rodian's bonds?
Yes, because then later on, he's like, if it wasn't for you, we could have been halfway to.
But I think it would have been better, and again to connect to more of the bad side of him, for him to cut his own bonds, and then to give him a look of that Rodian going, well, I ain't setting you free, and then shooting off. Like, I think that might have worked better for going, yeah, look, there we go, that's the Boba we know. Plus, he still would have been like of this mindset, because it's post Return of the Jedi by only like a couple of weeks maybe. He's not going to change like a leopard doesn't change their spots overnight. You know what I mean? So yeah, he still would have been that kind of style of going like, well, I'm thinking about myself. Like, are you going to pay me to set you free? No, I think that could have worked a little bit better in the scene. But I mean, that's just my minor gripe.
I suppose you could argue though that he's thinking about survival.
Yeah.
If anything, he is about survival. And actually, there are lots of dangers in the desert. You're far better off having someone with you. To kind of to show a darker side, they could have then said, okay, he'll free him, but he'll use him as a distraction, something like that.
Yeah, that could have worked.
It's just one of those things. We'll never know. But I think, he doesn't save the
Rodian. Yeah, he's getting suffocated in the sand. He just leaves it. Yeah. But he was more worried about the connection, because obviously linking back to connections, he was more worried about the Tusken raided child than obviously the Rodian.
Which is why I think it was so important as well that they showed us at the very beginning young Boba Fett, because I think he's connecting to
that child.
That child, and then like that reminds me of me when I was a child.
Yeah, and obviously rounding off the episode, it ended with them returning to the camp, and I like I said, I presume probably the next episode, we'll see some kind of training montage where he's learning to use a gaffy stick. He might even get the robes. Like, because I get like I got the vibe that when we first got hinted at him in season 1, the robes he was wearing seemed very Tusken Raider. Like in itself.
Yeah, they were. And it was so nice as well thinking about fleshing out the Tuskens, just to see them in different like costumes, like different clothing, different color schemes. So yeah, it was just nice to see flesh those out. So obviously, yes, he clearly has got those kind of black robes from somewhere.
Obviously this is a 6-episode season.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think it might be more.
Now, personally, if it is 6, I don't want to dwell too much on the past. You know what I mean? I don't want too many flashbacks for the rest of this season. I would
unless they go back to times where he is bounty hunter Boba Fett. Throw in a flashback of Vader. I'm all for that.
Yeah, that could work.
showing flashbacks that will still be relevant to his time. Because it was all about these flashbacks are relevant to his current situation, aren't they? Because he's finding his feet in a new place and a new social situation. It might be that we see flashbacks. I'm all for seeing flashbacks of a different era in time that is new and expand things. I think we are going to carry on with the Tusken Raider flashbacks for a little bit more.
I'm hoping if it is, so if we still will stick with the structure of a 6-chapter or 6-episode series, no more than 3 would be ideal, and then the other 3 I'm more than happy from other flashbacks. But I don't, like I said, I don't want to dwell too much on it, because I did feel like it was a 40-minute long episode. I didn't want too much. Like, I don't want like an exact almost split where it's like 20 minutes on one, 20 minutes on another, for example. I want a little bit more here and now. I want to see the Boba in his armor doing bits.
Yeah, because what I will say is that episode, although it was 40 minutes long or just shy, it felt very quick.
Yeah.
Because you've introduced to one story with the Tusken Raiders, introduced to another story with his new crime lord situation. You didn't really get any meat of either of them, so I think that's why I think it's a slow burn, is what I'm saying. Yeah. I think it's not going to be one where there's a cliffhanger at the end of every episode. I think it's going to be that kind of slower building up process.
Yeah. Well, either way, episodes are out every Friday, innit?
Every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah, every Wednesday.
So we will try and get not only this episode. I'll get this episode out because we've got an episode of the podcast being released tomorrow. So I'll try and release this after that, and then we'll try and get another reaction done ready for the next week. So we'll keep it coming. Let us guys know in the comments below if you like this kind of layout. I'll see if we can fiddle around with it. Obviously, we've got socials all linked below. We've got Twitter, we've got Instagram, and obviously the YouTube channel itself. We've got, like I said, podcast being released January. It would already be released by now, so it's fine. And then obviously that is released every Sunday, or the first Sunday of every month. We've got episodes of the podcast out. So in the meantime, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe. It does help us out. We will get more of these out. We've got loads more TV shows coming out in it. So
so many more.
So many more. So this is going to be something you guys can get used to. Rob's face really, really close in. And then me very laid back. But in the meantime, guys, I hope you have enjoyed it. Don't forget to watch Book of Boba Fett on Disney Plus or however way you watch it. Watch it. It's really good if you're a Star Wars fan. And we'll see you guys in the next one. May the Force be with you.